Okay, hi, Rich from North Roast. It's been a little while since I've live streamed. It's been incredibly busy here, and plus I wanted to solve the issue with the sound, which I believe I've solved. So now I've got a lapel mic, and so it should not be, the sound should be clear and with no background noise. So we've got a ton of roasting today. We've had a couple staff off the last couple days, so stretched labor-wise, but anyways, just finished roasting a Brazil yellow bourbon, and moving on to Brazil Solminas. Then I'm going to do a Fairtrade Organic Honduras Bicicleta, then a Dominican Natural. And anyways, I've got about 20 roasts today, so we'll probably run out of battery before we're about 5-6 roasts into it. So anyways, I'm gonna actually try and keep an eye on my the phone for any questions in chat. As well, I'm hoping to do a sort of a review. I got back on late Saturday night, early Sunday morning from the Specialty Coffee Show in Chicago. So I'm going to do a recap of that, some of the things that I saw, I appreciated, that we're going to bring in, as well as some of the stuff that's maybe a little sideways, that is more of a curiosity than anything worth paying attention to. So the one thing I find in specialty coffee right now, and especially when talking with a lot of the vendors, is there seems to be even more of a focus on sort of really oddities, like sort of neo-industrial age chitty bang bang brewers, you know, and it's really baffling how people seem to be drawn by these gadgets instead of focusing. And to me, the gadgets remove you several steps from actually mastering coffee. So instead of mastering the important stuff, you're focusing on adjusting one of 17 knobs that's supposed to yield a better cup of coffee. So anyways, I've got a little bit more work to do, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so I'm just going to sort of do an intro. So again, my name's Rich. I own North Roast Coffee. Been roasting coffee since 1997. This is a Probat P12 coffee roaster, so 12 kilos, a maximum capacity, about 25 pounds. We roast 25 pounds on this roaster. Most roasts take approximately 11 to 12 minutes. And what we're shooting for, just over my shoulder, maybe I'll bring the tripod closer once there's not so many green beans scattered around the legs of the tripod. We have a laptop that records time and temperature and graphs it in real time. So what we're looking for is a nice, gentle slope, uniform, no herky-jerky, so we don't want the temperature to stall or spike. Basically, there are very few coffees that require aggressive roasting, and certainly when you buy high-end coffees, they require a gentle hand, and then a level of knowledge to know where the coffee belongs to what degree of roast. So this coffee I'm roasting right now is a Brazil Solomonus, and we got this coffee from JA Coffee in Montreal. Really nice guys, excellent brokers. Actually, the Dominican we're roasting in a little bit is from those guys as well. We're probably about a minute to a minute and a half away from coming out. I'm just going to make a note on the roast. Okay, so I might as well just sort of. So this is Brazil Solminas in the cooling tray, fair trade organic Honduras bicicleta in the roasting drum. So I'm trusting that the sound is working fine. Just a few, I'm going to touch on a few points without going into detail on the Specialty Coffee Trade Show. First impressions of Chicago. Absolutely, like people talk about the architecture and the importance of the architecture. It is stunning. It really is. And if you are interested in architecture, building materials, and my only regret was, it was really difficult to get proper photographs of the buildings, just given, you're sort of in a congested area, so you can't get far enough away to actually capture the whole building. But absolutely beautiful, really, really impressed. The Riverwalk areas, spectacular iron bridges, river cruise boats going up and down, sort of tourist boats, and then even the trains going across the elevated tracks through the city is, I'm sure if you live next door to them, would not be fun, but as a tourist, were really beautiful to watch, and very efficient at moving people around. So well done, Chicago. Really enjoyed it. I just got to make a note in the roasting log. Okay, as well, the McCormick Center, which is where the trade show was held, again, what a facility, massive, well located, right on the water, with a very large concourse, like sort of patio on Lake Michigan, beautiful setting, really well organized. The facility was first class, not difficult at all. I stayed right downtown, so it was like, depending on what time of day and how many, sort of train stops there were, at worst it was a half-hour train ride out to McCormick Center from the Millennium Place, which is sort of right downtown Chicago. The only downside was there did not seem to be enough food vendors there, so the lineup, the queue for food was significant. But I mean, big deal. So if you find yourself running out of energy, you can always pack your own snacks or granola bars or whatnot. So anyways, the facility itself in Chicago, very impressive. Really, really enjoyed it. So I did manage to, before I went, I made a point form list of all the vendors and booths I wanted to visit, managed to see all of them. Some of them were more impressive than I thought, and some of them were decidedly less impressive than what I had hoped. And so there was sort of a mixture of results, so a lot of very good opportunities for us, though. There were two different sort of competition areas set up in the trade show. One for Barista Championship, one for Cup Tasters Championships. The Barista Championship draws interest because, to be honest, most of the people who work in coffee industry are baristas, right? Like, they work at a coffee shop. There's, 20 or 25 baristas work at a single coffee shop. So it's a very good way for the industry itself to generate attendance by holding those events there. In terms of its impact on the industry, it's really inconsequential. The amount of real revenue generated by a coffee shop. Coffee shops make money based on volume, not on having a luminary behind the counter. So it's really important for people new to the industry to recognize that you make money when the register goes ding. Not by taking a picture or a video of a latte art pour. In that respect, the Specialty Coffee Show is a big disappointment in that it provides very little actionable information for coffee shop owners, roasteries, whatever, in maintaining or generating profit. And they always say, we have our sustainability awards, which, I mean, let's face it, we're probably one of the greenest coffee companies in Canada, certainly. Compostable bags, we deliver an EV, we use organic coffees, we recycle all of the chaff, all of the burlap bags are reused. I'm just going to step to the roaster because we're almost at the end of this roast. Okay, so just gonna move this. Sorry, hopefully I'm not making you dizzy. Move it a little bit closer. So, you know, what is missing at the trade show is really, and always has been, there's almost no focus on the business of coffee, on how to run a successful coffee shop. And for the seminars which purport to focus on business of running a cafe, the way they're structured is the talk is most often given by a consultant who only provides just enough information so that you'll have to hire them in order to unlock the rest of the information. And so you know, I really think that the industry just or the association itself has very little regard for cafe owners and pays minimal attention to their needs, and so is sort of way more focused on the stuff that's, you know, Instagrammable, people holding trophies above their heads, you know, pretty latte art, you know, coffee bag design, you know, things like that are important, but they don't keep baristas employed. A successful coffee shop keeps baristas employed. So anyways, that's my take on the direction of it. Still very worthwhile. The trade show floor itself filled with vendors, excellent vendors. So I did see Probat, Loring Smart Roast, which is a roaster that we're considering. You know, La Marzocco, Royal New York, one of our brokers, Cafe Imports, Orange Brown, which is a Brazilian importer that we use. And in fact, man, I bought a bunch of stuff from them recently. And who else? Fair Trade, Oatly, oat milk. There's also a company called Noosh that has dehydrated oat and almond concentrate. So instead of shipping, you know, the Tetra packs of liquid, it's in powder form. You put it in a blender, you blend it for 2 minutes, and you've got oat milk, and you have not shipped, you know, 5 pounds of moisture across the country. You've shipped, you know, a couple ounces of powder, and it behaves very well, you know, when steaming. So, so anyways, that's you know, a rough overview of the show. But again, I'll go into more detail with video on a sort of a proper YouTube post. However, the first few days back have not been conducive to me sitting down at a desk at all. We've been super busy. Okay. Let's see. As well, some of the highlights of the trade show, cultural, like the booths and the pride that the countries and leaders in the coffee industry in respective countries took in opening their booth. I attended the opening in the Indonesian booth, as well the Peru booth. Colombia, of course, is very well represented there, as is Brazil. But you can see that these people take a great deal of pride in the quality of the product they produce, and then as well how it's presented, and they did a fantastic job doing that. There are a couple vendors who seem to have fallen out of favor, and it's a total head scratcher for me. But you could see vendors who 10 years ago were the darlings of the coffee industry, and their booths were eerily quiet. And it wasn't just like, oh, okay, I walked by right when the show started. It was a case where, like, every time I walked by, there was very little attention to their products, which, I'm making a bit of a leap, but it reflects on the fickle nature of the industry right now, where it really focuses undue attention on shiny and new, and instead of tried and true. And so, like some of the stuff you see in the product of the year, they've got this sort of a fenced-in paddock of product of the year, and some of it is absolute foolishness. But there it is, being voted on, and it seems like the ability to raise money on Kickstarter is the only threshold you need to garner attention. I mean, that in itself, Kickstarter is a bit of a vote on products. But they bear no impact on whether the product itself is useful or ultimately will have legs or longevity. So some of that stuff is really just such an oddity. In a lot of ways, it's like, there were even two booths that featured robots that were pouring latte art or, making drinks and pour-overs. It's just, it's an oddity, right? It's like walking out on a carnival pier and seeing, strange things you haven't seen before. That have very little relevance ultimately. Now, maybe in 10 years we all might be served by robots, but I hope not. I hope that I think the baristas better hope not too. Okay, so that coffee coming in the cooling tray right now is Columbia Fairtrade Organic Supremo, and in the roaster right now is Ethiopia Fairtrade Organic Yerga Chef. This will come out about another minute and a half out of the cooling tray. So, so the vendor that probably impressed me the most. So the compostable bag options have grown significantly. So there were at least 2 or 3 vendors. Well, I know 2 vendors for sure because I spoke to both of them. And there were more vendors who were focusing on 100% compostable bags. There was not a coffee association focus on sustainability, but the vendors themselves were. So I mentioned just before about the oat milk concentrate and the savings in shipping, not only excessive packaging but also the weight of liquid that's superfluous. When you have a concentrate, you can eliminate that. There were countless other vendors who had sustainable components to their product line. Loring Smart Roast is one of them. And there were a couple other roasters who did not require afterburners, so the particulate is recycled and consumed in the roasting chamber, and which eliminates the need for an external afterburner. There were also vendors who had machinery that eliminated the particulate without any burning chambers. So, and then there was also another vendor I spoke to who was not exhibiting, but had an interest in seeing what goes on at the trade show. They're working on a roaster that requires much lower temperatures to roast to the same degree, and which is a technology he does very best to describe it, and it made sense to me as he was describing it. But it's sort of a technology you have to see in action to understand whether it works or not. But so sort of when I talked about earlier about sort of chitty chitty bang bang advances in brewing and whatnot, that does not include people like this who are attempting to reduce the energy inputs of the industry, rather than the folks with these strange brewing contraptions, which are really more entertainment pieces than quality brewing equipment. Speaking of, I did see Technovorm, spoke with them, so we'll be bringing in some Technovorm. And then as well, I spoke with Baratza, who's been a head scratcher for us, like what's going on there, because we have not been able to get parts here in Canada. And it looks like we're going to be able to get some parts by a different method, and I'll go into it once the parts arrive. And then once I'm certain that we're going to be able to get parts, we'll start ordering the grinders back in. But I certainly want to make sure that everything we sell can be serviced and fixed. That was always the big draw for me with Baratza. So, okay, at the end of this roast, I think we'll wrap up. We're probably getting down on the battery level, so I got to be close to an hour in streaming. Again, I will do. Hopefully, the sound is good. I guess I'll find out after I'm done roasting today. But I will do a full recap with photos and whatnot of the trade show and my impressions, rather than just sort of talking off the top of my head. Okay, next coffee in is, so that was Fair Trade Organic Ethiopia Yirgacheffe, and next coffee in is Ethiopia Yirgacheffe Guji. It's in the cooling tray. Yeah, and then I'm doing Guji right after. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap up this stream right now. Again, it's been probably a couple weeks since I've done a live stream, so that's good. Hopefully it's successful and the sound is much better. So look for a post on YouTube. We're going to start putting some on our website. So we've got a link for vlog on our website, which I prefer that format. It's less formal. I know people still like to read blogs. Honestly, I think the temptation to use ChatGPT to write the blog for you makes the video format far more authentic, and sort of that's what we're about. Actually, let me spin everybody around. Like, this company is built on authenticity. You can see the green coffee right up front, the roasters up front. We invite customers to come You see the ropes, they can stand 6 feet from the roaster if they'd like. And when customers come in, they can smell an overpowering smell of coffee. It's like you're inside a coffee bag. So that part is really important to me. So I mean, maybe you don't like I'm not camera ready, am I? But I've got 27 years experience roasting coffee. I've roasted millions of pounds of coffee, and I've been around the block. So, and I'm not afraid to tell prospective customers when we're not the right fit for them. And certainly when I speak with people who are looking to open a new cafe, they don't always like hearing what I have to tell them. But ultimately, I'm trying to save them money and make them focus on the important parts of the business, which is serving customers well, profitability. Serve customers, not yourself. You know, don't make the business what the paying customer wants, not what you imagine. You know, a lot of people start a coffee business and they sort of think it's going to be like friends sitting on their couch, and it's hard work, 7 days a week, 24/7, and you know, sure, you have interactions with customers which are really rewarding and whatnot, but ultimately what's most rewarding is that you're able to pay your bills, pay your employees, pay your rent, pay the suppliers, and have a little bit for yourself as well. So those are the important things in the coffee business. So anyways, look for the SCA wrap up, and maybe I'll do another live stream next week. It won't be one this week. I got too many other things to do. Okay, thanks a lot.